Welcome back, guys. It's your boy TBZ. This is the second video on my channel. We ready to go on this one. I'm hyped for today. So this is going to be a three-part series here. This is predictions for the next NFL season. First thing we're going to be doing, addressing the main awards. MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, all those main awards. And I'm going to go more in depth on those because I got some big predictions, some big things. Video number 2 will be addressing my All-Pros for next year, my predictions for that. Yes, I will do kickers and kick returners and that, just as a disclaimer beforehand when I do it. But I'm not going to go into detail with those as much as the other players for when that video comes out. And then part 3 will be my All-Pros for the year. I got some interesting picks, some interesting guys in there, but I've done my research, I've done my homework, and I'm excited to do this series, so hopefully you guys will like it, and let's get right into it. Starting off here with the MVP. Who's my MVP for next season? Now you may be like, well, you're probably going to pick Aaron Rodgers. He's your favorite player in the NFL. You think he's the GOAT, and you may be surprised, but Aaron Rodgers is not my pick for MVP. I'm taking a real wild card here. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Lamar Jackson. But those two are my top 3. Lamar, Patty Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Not Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm not putting Aaron Rodgers. I told you. He's a great quarterback, the GOAT, but he's not in my top voting. Carson Wentz. And I'm also going to throw, you know what, there's tons of people I could throw in here. I'm going to throw Sam Darnold / Josh Allen because I think one of them is going to break out. Drew Lock could be in there, Kyler Murray. But those are my legit candidates here. I'm picking Carson Wentz for MVP. Now, the only thing that's going to stop this man from winning MVP is health, because that has been his entire career. Whether he's healthy, whether his team's healthy, that's the entire career. That's the only problem he's got, is the health bug. He's the RG3 of the modern day, except he can keep his career alive for longer, hopefully. I guess we'll have to see on that still, because that's still up in the air. But if Carson Wentz can stay healthy, he's going to win MVP next year. I don't see a reason why. He's got a new receiver in Jalen Reagor. He's got Deshaun Jackson. Miles Sanders is going to be year 2. He's going to be hyping up. He's got a phenomenal offensive line. He's got a superstar tight end in Zach Ertz. And hopefully Alshon can bounce back. I don't know. We'll have to see. His defense is phenomenal. He's got everything that a player would want, as long as the front office and the coaching staff can have faith in Carson Wentz. I think this is slam dunk for MVP. Now you may be like, well, look at his last season. He was healthy almost all season, and they didn't have success. He had no receivers. Do you know who Greg Ward is? He's a practice squad player for most of the season. The only weapons he had were Zach Ertz all season. Great, phenomenal tight end. That's part of the reason they had so much success. Jordan Howard, he's an all-right running back. And Miles Sanders, who was all over the map with injuries and stuff. He was never really consistently their starter, and I think this season he will be, which is huge for them. They'll have one guy in set place for each position, and as long as the injury bug doesn't affect them, I think Carson Wentz is slam dunking for MVP. His interceptions, surprisingly low over the last 3 seasons. He's had 7 in each season, 14 in his first year, which was not too good. Not last season, the year before. He only played 11 games, then got hurt, and he threw 7 interceptions in that year. And then the year after that was the season where he clearly was the MVP for a bit. I think Tom Brady ended up winning it, or Matt Ryan. I can't remember who won it that year. But Carson Wentz had it on lock until the injury, and he'd only thrown 7 interceptions that season. Last season only threw 7 as well, so last season he really proved to be good. He clutched up big time for them. He carried the squad through the second half of the season to get them into that playoff spot, and even into the playoffs where he ended up getting hurt, which, I mean, the bug is all over him. He is the modern day RG3 Aaron Rodgers. He's got talent to both those guys. He gets injured as much as RG3, but he carries more like Aaron Rodgers. And I think the ability to carry a franchise is so valuable in the league, and I think that's what MVPs are. Mahomes did it last year. Lamar did it. Well, he had a lot of weapons, but you look at all the MVPs. They were the best player on their team in that year. They weren't the second best player. They were the main factor. You look at a guy like, why did Joe Flacco never win an MVP? Because he had the defense behind him. Now, he wasn't that good anyways, but when you have other assets towards you, that can boost yourself. And Carson Wentz had no assets, and he carried, and that just proves how good he is. He's consistent. His turnovers are surprisingly low. Everyone thinks they're super high. They're surprisingly low. He's clutch. He can win games down the line. He's got a better career. He's got more wins than losses in overtime. Carson Wentz is everything you want. He's only been to the playoffs, well, technically 3 times, but Nick Foles technically was 2 of them. The first year was definitely him taking them to the playoffs, so I'm going to give him that one. He's played in 1 playoff game, lost to the Seahawks last year, but got injured halfway through, so he's really never played a full playoff game. He's really carried for 2 of the years. The 5 and 6 year, when he only played 11 games, they weren't going to make the playoffs without Nick Foles coming in. So, yeah, Carson Wentz is my MVP. I think he has a phenomenal season. I think Philly wins that division. I think Philly will be a top 2 team for sure. I think Tampa is in there. I think New Orleans is in there. And I think Seattle. I think those are the 4 teams that are much better than everyone else. Not saying the Packers or the 49ers aren't good teams. I would say they're playoff teams 100%, but they're not that A tier like the other 4 teams that I just named. Yeah, Carson Wentz. I feel like this is his year. We're gonna have to see. That's my official prediction. And so I guess we're just gonna have to see going into the season. Also adding to the note of Carson Wentz, he passed for 4,000 yards for his first time last year. He was in the 3,000s every other year, so that just shows his trajectory is going way up, and that's just another reason why I believe that he's the clear favorite for MVP. A lot of people might not see that. I saw Marcus Spears say his dark horse was Matt Ryan, Stephen A., Dak Prescott, all them, and a lot of people like Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, obviously. I just think this is Carson Wentz's year. He's got everything that he really wants, except maybe a left tackle. Dillard will play left tackle. They're fine there. So, yeah, Carson Wentz, if he's going to have a good year, this is the year to do it. Moving on to my Offensive Player of the Year. Disclaimer beforehand, I really did want to pick Saquon Barkley for this because I think Saquon's going to break out. I think he's going to go ham with the Giants this year, especially since they built around him. They drafted an offensive lineman last year. They traded for Zeitler the year before that. They still have Will Hernandez. They've built around the run game. And so I think they're committed to Saquon more than they are Daniel Jones. And that just shows, but, disclaimer here again, we're just doing a double disclaimer. I think there's another running back in New York who's going to have a phenomenal season because they built around him as well. Maybe you haven't seen it because it isn't very clear. But what do you think the New York Jets are doing? They drafted Mekhi Becton at tackle. Well, obviously they want to protect Sam Darnold. They lost Robbie Anderson in free agency. Do they have a lot of receivers? No. Do they have a tight end that's more known for blocking? Yes. Ryan Griffin is more of a blocking tight end. Chris Herndon, he's more of a blocking tight end. Why would you draft or pick up and get a blocking tight end if you're going to try and pass all the time? You're not. They're building around Le'Veon Bell. It's maybe not as clear as the Giants building around Saquon because I feel like the Jets are a little bit behind them in that situation. But Le'Veon, they've given him the stuff. They're probably going to get someone else, maybe another veteran old lineman. I heard they're in on Jason Peters. That would be a nice pickup for them. They still got Brian Winters. When he's healthy, he's good. Ryan Khalil at center, who's a Pro Bowler. The Jets, I feel like they're going to make a little bit of noise next year, and one of the reasons is Le'Veon Bell, who is my pick for Offensive Player of the Year. Wouldn't be surprised if Saquon wins it. I'm just saying that now. McCaffrey could go back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised either. Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins both have their good reasons. Le'Veon Bell had a very, very down season last year. 700 rushing yards. That's very uncharacteristic for a guy that was a 1,000-yard rusher 3 times before that. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he had the year off. He didn't really get to experience NFL competition. competition, and I agree. Le'Veon's really never, he hasn't had a consistent career. He's either been injured over the suspension that year we didn't play, but if Le'Veon's gonna get back-to-back seasons for the first time in what feels like forever, and so with a full season, this man's going to work wonders in both the pass game and run game because that's the type of back he is. He's a patient running back. He knows what he's doing. And they're going to use him for all the touchdowns. They can't go anywhere else. Darnold's going to be able to use his arm and pass to Le'Veon Bell because Le'Veon Bell can do it all. McCaffrey, even Saquon's looking like that now. Zeke, not as much. He's more of a ground and pound guy. Same with Derrick Henry. Aaron Jones is that way. Joe Mixon's that way. They're all kind of patient backs, and more so Mixon and Le'Veon Bell. But Le'Veon in the pass game is very dangerous. He could be your third wide receiver if you wanted, similar to McCaffrey. And so I think this is the year that Le'Veon collects it all together. I said last year I thought he was going to be a Pro Bowler and that he was going to be really good, and definitely disappointed me. Played 15 out of 16 games because he didn't play last one of the season, and he just really looked out of his element. Another thing that I do want to comment on is only 3 rushing touchdowns. That's not very good. Not very good at all for 245 rushing attempts and only 3 touchdowns, which is, if you're thinking about it, that's way under average what you should be getting. Now, you shouldn't have 100 rushing TDs, obviously. But for a guy like Le'Veon, you should have at least 8+ touchdowns. And the Jets built around him. So why you picked him up? The coach, I know they got problems. I'm not going to comment on that because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm talking about based on talent, based on the season I think he's going to have, why he should be Offensive Player of the Year. He's got everything that a coach should want. Adam Gase's stupid, but whatever. That's besides the fact. If Adam Gase uses him properly, and Le'Veon gets his touches, which he got a decent amount last season, it wasn't the 321 from the one season in Pittsburgh, and that's also saying something because they also had Antonio Brown and Martavius Bryant, so they're passing the ball too a lot. So if he can use Le'Veon like Pittsburgh did and still be able to benefit Sam Darnold and benefit Le'Veon, which he can do at the same time because Le'Veon can be a huge factor in the passing game. He's not utilizing him in the right way, and I think that Adam Gase is going to get his head out of his butt, and he is going to tap into this, and he's going to say, hey, you know what? Le'Veon's our guy. In order for Sam to have success, because we know Adam Gase wants Sam to have success, we're going to tap into Le'Veon Bell, and we are going to go ham. We're going to rush the ball down teams' throats, and we are just going to base our offense all on Le'Veon Bell. 311 passing yards, pretty decent season in the passing game. Not his career high of 406, which also led the league that year. Le'Veon's just an insane running back. He only fumbled once last year, which also shows his durability because he didn't get injured and he only fumbled the ball once. So good on Le'Veon for that. Also looking in to receiving touchdowns, he only had 1. 4 total touchdowns, which is funny because every year before that, except for one where he got injured, he had more than that in rushing touchdowns. I don't even know what to say. But Le'Veon, I know he's going to come back strong, and he's my prediction for us, Offensive Player of the Year. I think this is really realistic, more realistic than Carson Wentz winning MVP. I do think Le'Veon is a very strong candidate. Saquon is the only person that I see in his way, but that's my take on Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. Who do I think is going to win Defensive Player of the Year? Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of good options, a lot of great defensive players. Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Chandler Jones, Geno Atkins, Fletcher Cox. A lot of great players. Stephon Gilmore. I could go on for days. There's one guy that everyone's forgotten about. I still think he's the best defensive player I've seen in my lifetime. Injuries which is just a common theme in this video. It just seems like everyone just gets injured. Injuries have derailed this man's career a bit. I still think he's a clear Hall of Famer. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, if that gives you any hints. He's a 5-time All-Pro, which is pretty hard to come by. He's had a 20-sack season, also had a 17 and a 16-sack season. And if you just want to keep piling on numbers, he's had 2 20-sack seasons, then another 10. He's been in the double digits for sacks 5 times. Every time, he's made a Pro Bowl. He's also a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, which never happens. Who wins 3 different Defensive Player of the Years? He, in my opinion, he's a top 10 greatest defensive player of all time and top 3 at his position, which is DN. This is J.J. Watt. Now, a lot of you, when you think of defensive players, you may think of J.J. A lot of OGs out there, but the modern day people think about Aaron Donald. And everyone's kind of cast aside J.J. Watt, but he makes noise every time he touches the field. Against the Bills in the playoffs, he went ham on Josh Allen. Josh Allen couldn't get anything going in the second half because J.J. Watt was all over him. You kind of noticed him in spurts in the first half, and then the second half, God, J.J. Watt just came out of nowhere and started destroying people and taking victims one by one. The Bills' offensive line was struggling. Cody Ford could not keep a step with J.J. Watt. No one on that O-line could, for that matter. Deion Dawkins was struggling. It was kind of fun to watch. Obviously not if you're a Bills fan. And I do like the Bills. I do like the Texans too because of this man. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He's my favorite DN. Him and Julius Peppers, 2 guys I grew up watching, so those are my guys. But J.J. Watt, this man, he's coming back. You get one healthy season out of him, and he's a guaranteed All-Pro and Pro Bowl. Guaranteed. Knockdown. And when he does that, he's the best in the league at everything. And he's guaranteed the Defensive Player of the Year. So, staying healthy is his only problem. He hasn't had a healthy season in a few years. But he's going to get back healthy, and he's going to just start destroying people again. And with this longer break, it might be a longer break for the season to start. J.J. Watt is going to have time to plan and prep. And then he's just going to destroy defenses. Especially because they lost DJ Reader on the defensive line. And, of course, they lost Clowney the year before. And they've lost some corners. They lost Deshaun Gibson, safety. Everything falls on the shoulders of J.J. Watt on the defense. Whitney Merciless there, too. But J.J. Watt is the primary enforcer. And a lot of people have forgotten about J.J. Maybe NFL offenses have also forgotten. I'm not saying he's clouded from your mind, but when you think of defensive players, you're probably thinking of Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, Stephon Gilmore, because he was the top corner in the game last year. Patrick Peterson, who's also could be in the running for this because he's had a season off. A lot of people may be throwing him behind the scenes. He's a Hall of Famer. So is J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt going to add his 4th defensive player to his resume, his 6th All-Pro appearance, hint to the next video, and his 6th Pro Bowl, hint to the next video as well. J.J. Watt is going to have a phenomenal season. If he can play 16 games, even 15 games, you sit him for 2 weeks, 14 games, he's still going to win it because he just wrecks havoc. And I would say that if you sat him 2 weeks, he has the capabilities to still get 17 plus sacks, or 17 sacks. He'll get over 10 sacks. If he plays 10 games, he's going to get 10 sacks. He averages a sack or more per game when he's healthy. And I think J.J. Watt has been prepping, and everyone's kind of paying attention to TJ a little more. JJ's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And so J.J. Watt is my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. Patrick Peterson can be thrown in there too. Of course, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, you got to put those guys in the conversation. But J.J. Watt is going to show the NFL who's back, who's the best DN, and he's ready. It's going to be fun to watch him next year. My defensive rookies of the year. Who are we going to go with? I'm going to do them at the same time, just to shorten this video up so you guys aren't just snoozing while you're watching this. because videos can get long sometimes. There's some too hype videos. I watch too hype. They just get a little bit too long for me. My last video was probably too long for you guys. I get it. But it's a draft video, so you kind of have to get everything in. So considering it was a draft video, I feel like I did pretty good on my time, less than a minute per pick. But let's get back into this. My offensive rookies of the year. One of them plays for the San Diego Chargers. So that means it could be two different guys. It could be on the defensive side or the offensive side. It could be Kenneth Murray, linebacker, or it could be Justin Herbert, quarterback. Now, I feel like you guys know my love for Justin Herbert. Maybe I love this man a little too much. No homo though. But, yeah, I'm going to go with him. Justin Herbert. That's my pick. Offensive player of the year. Justin Herbert possesses talent that I haven't seen out of a player in the draft for a long time. Marcus Mariota, surprisingly, also went to Oregon, was the last QB, and Deshaun Watson. I'll put them both in the same combo, where I said, this man is a top-tier talent. Now, Mariota didn't really pan out. Deshaun Watson definitely panned out. Herbert possesses some of the same things as Mariota. He's a bit bigger. He's got a way better arm than Marcus Mariota. The only questionable thing about Justin Herbert is holding on to the ball for too long. Now, I don't see this as a problem. I said this in my draft video. Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes do their scrambling, and Justin Herbert's a pretty decent scrambler. He could get better in that spot, but his ability to maneuver, and he's got legs too, man. He really does remind me a lot of Aaron Rodgers, a lot of Carson Wentz. His ability to move around, his ability to find the open player, his ability to scramble out of the pocket, miss sacks. We'll see if sacks are going to be a problem. He's got a pretty decent offensive line there. Mike Pouncey, Brian Bulaga, Trey Turner. So he's got a solid one side. The other side maybe a little weak, if I'm going to be honest. A guy like J.J. Watt probably would destroy through that. Well, he destroyed through both sides of J.J. Watt. But, yeah, Justin Herbert, I think he's going to have a really good year. Pro Bowl, I'm not going to go that far and say he's going to be a Pro Bowler. San Diego is going to be a playoff team. I could put that. I'll put money on that. Not going to say how much of this will come back to haunt me if they don't. But he's got a decent running back in Eckler who passing game and running game. He's got two really good receivers, Mike Stinking Williams, and Keenan Allen, who's a top-tier receiver. Pretty decent O-line. Got a good tight end if Hunter Henry can stay healthy. Slot receiver's questionable. He's got a good defense behind him. I think the interceptions might be a problem. I don't think he's going to go for the 30 for 30 Jameis Winston. Is he going to throw 10 INTs? Probably. But I think he's going to throw 20 TDs. Or probably more than that. So, I think his interceptions might be his only problem that he's going to have this year. I don't think sacks should be a problem. INTs might be the only thing that I would look to. Fumbles, no. But scoring, he's going to score a lot. And I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to go bold. Say he's going to pass for over 3,500 yards. I'm not going to say 4,000. Because that might be stretching it a little bit for a rookie. A lot of people saying Tua going to go for 5,000. All these Tua-biased bandwagons out here. Tua is a phenomenal player. There's a lot of phenomenal players in this draft. Burrow, pretty decent player. Like I said in my mock, I think Herbert's the real deal. And I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year and prove everyone wrong. If not, he's going to win runner-up, and he's going to be the Deshaun Watson to maybe Tua's Patrick Mahomes, or if someone else comes away with the win. I doubt an offensive lineman wins that. That never happens. Although Quentin Nelson almost did win it that one year. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. Defensively, I really want to go with Isaiah Simmons. Want to go with Jeff Okudah. But there's no way anyone's beating Chase Young out for this. Chase Young's just so much more ready than everyone else for the NFL. He comes into a place where they need him. And he's got John Allen on the side of him and Matt Ioannidis on the other side sometimes. He's got everything going for him in Washington, except the offense isn't good, but the defense, very underrated. I'm going to be honest with that. Landon Collins, I think he's going to have a breakout year on that defense. More on that will come later. But Chase Young is going to munch on quarterbacks, especially Daniel Jones in that division. Dak Prescott, he might have trouble with those 2 O-lines. But I think Chase Young is... I won't say 10 sacks. I'll take the over on 8.5. I won't take the under on 8.5. I'd take the over on it. But 8.5 is what I would say. I said that's the middle ground for him. I'd say that's where I would put him. I think he's going to be really underrated in the tackling department. I think his tackles are going to be something that stand out more than his sacks this year. And I think he's going to force a few fumbles, of course, like every player in the NFL, if you're good. But I think Chase Young is just too ready not to win this award, and giving it to Simmons or giving it to Okudah or Derek Brown, it's more of a certainty thing. Like, Chase Young's the best pick. He's the more clear pick. And so I have to go with him. There's nothing that tells me he should not dominate and not win this award. So that's why I'm going with Chase Young. But anyways, with that, thank you for watching this video. Part 2, my Pro Bowl selections will be coming soon. Also my All-Pros. I think I'll do All-Pros Part 2 and Pro Bowls Part 3 because there's way more Pro Bowlers, and that will take a long time. But thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and we out.
I'm in town. Yeah.